how you doing? Good to share the space with you again. It's been a while, and I'm sure you've been reading and catching up to, do excellently well in your exams. Okay, so today we'll be sharing on some frequently, topics that, you see most times, that show up most times when you about to take your UTME, your exams. So we're going to look at those questions that are likely going to show up, those topics that are likely going to show up every time. It's been consistent for a period of years. It just keeps showing up. So you have to get familiar with these topics. So we're going to look at some of these topics that are, frequently showing up, now especially in your UTME. So now, when you want to read, make sure you read up family needs, goals, and standards, because these questions always show up. So you're going to be, talking about what needs are. You should be able to define what needs, goals, and standards are, and then you should be able to state the types of needs, specify them, immediate needs, long-term, goals, and all of these things. You're going to make sure you know them. And also another topic that you should look out for is sexually transmitted diseases. So you have to read up HIV and AIDS. So you have to read up to know the types of STDs, syphilis, gonorrhea, HIV, AIDS. You need to get familiar with this. So, and also you need to know how HIV spreads. So you need to read up to know that. So that topic is very, very important. You see it show up every year. Also, another topic you should look out for is the uses of cosmetics and deodorants. Now, this topic shows up because it has to do with hygiene, it has to do with how we smell, and then how we look good. So you have to know what the meaning of cosmetics are and what the meaning of deodorants, and then the different types of cosmetics and deodorants. Also, you want to look up for the indigenous cosmetics we have, the ones that are peculiar to us in Africa and in Nigeria specifically. So you have to read up to that as well. Another one you should look out for is Introduction to Home Economics. Now, this is very important because you're going to be having likely questions show up from Introduction to Home Economics, because they're going to be asking you about definition, the meaning of home economics. They're going to be asking you about careers that are related to home economics, and then they're going to be asking you about subjects that are related to home economics. So these are questions that likely show up. So you would want to read up so you can get familiar with it, so you're not taken unaware. Another question or topic that likely shows up almost like it's frequent for the past years is marriage. Now, this is very, very important. Now, it goes on beyond to know, the problems of unhealthy boy-girl relationship. So you can be able to specify also, and then to open up your ideas to knowing the type of test that is needed when people or couples are about to get married. Some persons about to get married. So you'll be able to know some of these things because they do show up. So another topic again that shows up is pregnancy and childbirth. Pregnancy and childbirth. There are going to be questions from pregnancy and childbirth, such as, the first, second, and third stages of labor. These are questions that are likely going to show up. Also for childbirth, actually likely questions from when the child is born, what clothing, what type of, what is it called, the things bought for a baby, the clothings like layout, you need to know them. And also the vaccinations, you need to get familiar with the vaccinations when it comes to when a baby is being born, So like BCG was the first vaccine given to a newborn baby. BCG, you have to get familiar with all of these vaccinations because they are likely going to show up in your UTME exams. Another one is childcare, how to take care of, newborns. Now that has to do with breastfeeding, and then also breastfeeding, artificial and bottle feeding, So questions usually pop up from these topics. So you want to read up to know the benefits, the first milk that comes, that the mother produces, what is it called? It's called colostrum. So you have to read up because these questions usually show up. It's frequent. So that's one thing you need to read too as well. Another one you need to look out for is budgeting. Budgeting is one question. Family budget that shows up. It shows up almost every year. It shows up almost every year. So this would open up your understanding to family income, the gross income, how to plan for family needs, how to plan the family budget, you know, and then the advantages of what family budget. Okay, now, you know, it helps you not to impulse buy. You don't just go around buying things if you do not have a budget. Of course, you're going to be doing that. So you have to read up to get familiar with that topic, because it shows up like almost every year. Something related to budgeting, family budgets, you know, it shows up. Another topic that is frequently popping up and shows up that has been consistent throughout the years is Introduction to Textile Study. Now, this has to do with everything that has to do with textile studies, you know, the meaning of textiles, you know, your fibers, your yarn, your weft, all of these terms, you need to get familiar with them. So, because you get to find them. It shows up every year, and then I'm certain that it's going to show up this year as well. So you need to read up. Another topic that shows up is basic sewing processes. Everything that has to do with sewing, the sewing machine, and all of that. So you need to read up, because you're likely going to see questions from this topic. Now, that has to do with stitches, that has to do with the importance of stitches and the different types of stitches. So you want to read up so you can know all of these things and get very, very grounded in them, because when they show up, you can be able to do what? You know, give your answer. So these topics over the years have been consistent. So you need to read up to understand that. Another topic that shows up every year and in all of the years, and I'm sure it's going to show up this year too, is what? Scientific study of food. So you need to read up that as well. Now, this has to talk about nutrients. You know, nutrient is one important factor when it comes to home economics. You know, deal with nutrients, food, the classes of food. You're going to be familiar with that. And also don't forget to get familiar with the different tests as it comes to nutrients. You know, the test for carbohydrate, the test for protein, the test for fats and oil. All of these tests are very important because they show up. So you need to get familiar with them, because they're likely going to show up. Also, another topic that shows up that has been frequent over the years is meal planning. Now, meal planning shows up every time. You know, for every question, you're likely going to see a question that is related to what? Meal planning. Now, this has to do with the meaning of meal planning, the factors that are to be considered when planning a meal for the family. So you have to look at that. What is important when planning a meal? Is it the size of the family? Is it the income? Okay, is it the season of the year? So all of these factors, you need to get familiar with them and make sure you know them, because likely they're going to show up, and I'm very certain about that. Also, another question that you should look out for, you know, is kitchen equipment and utensils. It has to do with kitchen utensils and tools. So you need to read up this. It has to do with, you know, what are kitchen equipment, what are kitchen utensils. You need to know them. You know, when you talk about kitchen utensils or equipment, you're talking about those items that are fixed and those ones that are easily moved about in the kitchen. And also you want to get familiar with the kitchen layouts. You know, the kitchen comes with different types of layouts. So you want to get familiar with them, such as your U shape, your L shape, and your corridor type. So you need to get familiar with this topic because it shows up. Now, these are some of the questions that are likely going to show up. They are frequently, you know, showing up and has been showing up over the years. So if you can, you know, specifically or categorically give your time to reading these topics and developing on them, I'm sure you're going to be doing amazing way in your UTME and even for your WAEC as well. Now, some of the videos have been posted in on our platform, so you can go back, read up, and then get familiar with them. Go back to our previous videos, watch them, and then get really grounded with them. And I'm certain you're going to do A-OK and very well in your UTME as you progress. Okay, so now we're going to go to class. See you. Bye for now.